People are going in on JK right now, and this is not good. We also have some people being shocked over some confessions of JK by a staff and what they were about. And then we have JK being believed to be asked for help in the military. Say dumplings, it's safe to say, let's get into it. There is this rumor going around that Jimin and JK are being bullied in the military now. I think this is just one of those accusations that's being made to try to insult the members or try to make them look weak. But at the end of the day, every photo that we have seen of the boys coming out of the military looks like Jimin and JK are extremely happy. Of course, you can't tell what's going on behind the scenes, but I doubt the boys would tolerate bullying of any kind, and it would be very easy for them to report it or to get away from it. The fact of the matter is, it would be very difficult for people to bully a world-class superstar, knowing that the moment they step out of the military, they would essentially be powerless against these global celebrities. Imagine bullying someone that is a world-class celebrity and also someone who is really powerful and super rich. You would not survive the moment the military is done. This is also part of that narrative that people in the community want to make the boys seem weak and powerless, and that they are people who just don't know what to do with themselves. They're helpless and they just need to be saved. And the thing is, there is this part of the community that actually believes that and then wants to help the boys and wants the boys to not be powerless and wants to protect them. But then there's a part of the hating community that hates BTS and wants to say these things because they know that the other part of the community that loves BTS is trying to protect him, that they will believe that the members are getting bullied. I hope that makes sense. It's like almost an easy way to get the community riled up because it hits a sensitive spot within the community there. And this is what I consider really bad and really low, because if you're someone who is trying to insult someone, then go after something that would not just be like impact them in a really low, dirty way. Go after them in a way where you would actually have more impact with the general population, where people would look at that insult and be like, wow, that's actually a really good one. Going after low-hanging fruit or taking the dirty road is something that should make the person doing this feel disgusting. It's like trying to steal candy from a baby. It's like punching a baby. Like, it's just something that you know is going to win and you do it anyway. It's not something that actually means you're good at insults. And on the other side of that, it doesn't actually mean that the insults that you're saying are true. It just means they want a reaction. They want attention. And honestly, shame on them. There's so many things that the community does sometimes where it feels like they are literally trying to punch a baby, where they're trying to take the low road. And the community has nothing against this, which is why I think this is so interesting when other people hate. Like when idols get hate for doing literally human things, these haters in the community or these haters in K-pop, they're not above going the low ground. They're not above doing dirty, awful things, but then they blame their favorite K-pop star for doing normal human things. This is not like a type of hate where it just irks you, right? It's not just a type of hate that's annoying. It's a type of hate that makes you feel disgusting to know that people like this exist in the world, and that they're so blinded by whatever they're blinded by, and they're just disgusting dirt people that just honestly can be wiped off the face of the planet, and honestly the world would be a better place. JK is such a sweet soul, and it's so disgusting to think that there's a lot of people who are posting as supporters of his only to actually be haters and just spew hate on their X or Twitter page. People have watched I Am Still, which is JK's documentary, and there was a scene in there where someone who worked with JK talked about what his feelings were towards JK. And surprise, surprise, it's a good one. It's a very good one. No one is surprised by that, right? His name is Brian. This is the person that's worked with JK, and in the documentary, Brian talks about his experience directing JK's choreography. And what he said ended up going viral, and people were very excited about it. Brian said that JK was a life changer without even knowing it, and Brian was excited to see all of the lives that JK not only touched but had actually physically changed. There's so many ways as to how a celebrity could change someone's life. First of all, without JK existing and without JK needing to have choreography, obviously Brian wouldn't have a job. So that's first and foremost. Obviously money would change someone's life. But I'm also sure Brian meant another thing, which is probably just the kindness and how he treats everyone around him. Being able to have the dancer or the choreographer go on tour with him and being able to experience being on tour with a global celebrity, that's life-changing, right? That's an experience that he will never forget, and it probably will be different even if Brian works with a lot of other global celebrities, which I'm sure he has. But every experience on tour with a global celebrity is going to be different from each other, just because celebrities are going to run things differently. So some celebrities might take their team out to dinner every night, while others might just kind of be like, the moment the show is over, go do your own thing, I don't really care, right? So just JK potentially potentially having this energy where he might be treating people out for dinner, he might be having fun with them after the shows, and doing all of these things would potentially make Brian have this feeling of like, my life has been so different after meeting him. And so a lot of people were not necessarily shocked, but it was more considered a shocking confession, because it is shocking and good to hear these sorts of things, and to hear a confession like this. And for as long as BTS and all of the members have been around, there haven't really been any accusations of them being mean to anyone. And it's interesting because all of their scandals don't revolve around being mean, it just revolves around potentially maybe not making the best choices. However, they have reached and still continue to reach this huge level of success and global success, to the point where anyone else in their position who had potentially even come close to reaching this level of success would have been exposed 10 times over of their scandals. Like, they've reached a point in fame in which if they did have any skeletons in the closet, they would have all come out already. The fact of the matter is, they don't really have really dark skeletons in the closet. A lot of the accusations online hurt because of that, knowing that they don't really have this intense scandal or dark past behind them, yet people are still trying to make them out to seem like they have that. If you're unaware, JK recently posted on Instagram something in support of NewJeans. Now, obviously JK doesn't have an Instagram account of his own, but he does have an Instagram account for his dog. And I guess he's using it as a way to communicate with everybody, which is interesting, because he could have just had his own personal account and then post about his dog all the time, but instead he made an account that was dedicated to his dog, in which he makes cameos sometimes, I guess. But maybe this was the only way he could do that, right? And the label wouldn't be on his back about it. So what's going on? What's happening, in case you don't know? Well, if you're unaware of what's going on with the label right now, there's a lot of drama. It's been making headlines pretty much every day, and sometimes multiple headlines every day, as the lawsuit that's going on with Adore and the big part of Hype is still going on. Now, JK seemed to have chimed in on the situation when his recent post of his dog had the caption saying it's never the artist's fault, or something along those lines. This apparently was controversial on many levels. First and foremost, the situation on its own is controversial, so I don't really have to explain why people were taking it in completely different ways, because people have different sides that they take. The other thing that made it controversial was the fact that JK had apparently never spoken about some of the issues that had happened within his group. So people were upset that he was speaking about something that didn't really involve him, or he wasn't directly involved in, or maybe didn't even know those members of NewJeans personally. Other people have then taken it one step further than to say that he must be in a relationship with the members of NewJeans, or one of them, in order to feel like he has to speak up on their behalf, or just chime in on his opinion, because he's really not speaking up on their own behalf. They've spoken up on themselves. It's also important to note that some of the members of the group are not of age and are minors. People have taken it even a step further than that to say JK is having relations with a minor, as if that's the only reason why you could speak up about anything, is that you have to be in a relationship with them. People, especially Asian people, their minds are not as dirty as this. In fact, they have been raised from a young age to be very much anti-sex or anti-dirty mind. Yes, this leads people to feel a lot of suppression, and it leads to a lot of people then showing their suppression in bad ways. But also on the other hand, which is likely what's going on with JK, is just that they don't think about sex as much as American or people in more liberal countries do. So obviously him speaking up does not mean he's sleeping with one of them. Now, I can't tell you how ridiculous this is. However, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes and whether the members are telling other members to not get involved. However, going back, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes and whether the BTS members are telling the other BTS members to not get involved with their scandals, and that's why JK didn't speak up. So that's first of all. When you have a scandal, oftentimes the other members would probably call each other and they would talk to each other and be asked about what to do, and sometimes they would all come to the decision that it's probably best if the other member doesn't speak about it. How does that make the group look, or what would happen if JK said something slightly wrong about the DUI situation that would make it look worse for Suga? Now, most of us assume that this new post that JK made was about the girl group, but we also don't know that for sure either. Obviously, it really doesn't have any meaning with the photo of a dog, so people tend to assume that it's probably about what's going on within his own label, but we don't know that for sure. Of course, if he is talking about the situation that's going on with the label, he has a right to chime in without meaning that he's having a relationship with any of them. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.